vodka. They say it rots the brain as well as the liver. A poor substitute for good schnapps, but they haven't seen any of that since '39. Is Captain Berger here? Waiting for you on board. Praga picked up his briefcase again. Then I suggest we get moving. There isn't much time. Has anyone been asking for me? Before Richter could reply, a voice said in Portuguese, "Ah, Senor Praga, a pleasant surprise." Praga turned quickly as the curtain of one of the small booths behind him was pulled back. The man who sat there, a bottle of wine in front of him, was immensely fat, his crumpled khaki uniform stained with sweat and bursting at the seams. Praga managed to smile. "Captain Mendoza, don't you ever sleep?" "Not very often." "What is it this time, business or pleasure?" "A little of both. As you know, the position of German nationals is a difficult one these days. Your government is more than ever insistent on a regular report. So, it is necessary that Berger and his men are seen by you personally? On the first day of the last week in each month. Your people in Rio are most strict in this respect. And the good Senora Praga? I am given to understand she was on the plane with you. I have a few days' leave due, and she has never seen this part of the country. It seemed the ideal opportunity. Richter slipped out without a word. Mendoza watched him go. "A nice lad," he said. "What was it he used to be? Chief helmsman on a U-boat? Obersteuermann, isn't that the word?" "I believe so." "You'll have a drink with me?" Praga hesitated. "Just a quick one, if you don't mind. I have an appointment." "With Berger?" Mendoza nodded to the barman, who poured brandy into 2 glasses without a word. "When does he leave to go back to Rio? In the morning?" "I believe so." Praga sipped the brandy, on dangerous ground now. He was 65, an assistant consul at the German embassy in Rio until August 1942, when the Brazilians, enraged by the torpedoing of several of their merchant ships by U-boats, had declared war. Little more than a gesture, but it had presented the problem of what to do about German nationals, in particular the increasing number of sailors of the Kriegsmarine who found themselves washed up on her shores. Praga, having spent 20 years in the country, and being acceptable in high places, had been left behind to cope with that. There were, after all, 5,000 miles of ocean between Brazil and Germany, so no need to set up expensive internment camps. The Brazilian government was content with the monthly reports he presented on his fellow citizens. As long as they were gainfully employed and not a charge on the state, everyone was happy. Mendoza said, "I've been harbour master here for 2 years now, and for most of that time the Deutschland has been coming in regularly, say every couple of months. So, a boat of that size usually manages with a master, mate, boatswain, probably 6 foremast hands, and a cook." "That is correct." Mendoza sipped a little of his wine thoughtfully. "According to my information, Berger has a crew of something like 20 this trip." He smiled genially, but the eyes in the fat face were sharp. Praga said carefully, "There are many German seamen in Rio. And more each day. The war, my friend, does not go well for you." "Berger is probably trying to employ as many as possible." Mendoza smiled beautifully. "But of course, that explanation had not occurred to me. But I mustn't keep you. Perhaps we'll have time for another drink tomorrow?" "I hope so." Praga went out quickly. Richter was waiting on the veranda by the steps. Beyond, the rain hammered relentlessly into the ground. "Everything all right?" he asked. "Not really," Praga told him. "He knows something's going on. But how could he possibly suspect the truth? No one in his right mind would believe it." He clapped Richter on the shoulder. "Now let's get moving." The boatswain said, "I didn't get a chance to tell you inside, but there was someone asking for you." There was a movement behind, and as Praga turned, a nun in tropical white habit stepped into the light. She was a small woman.